Chapter 9. Effective Groups and Teamwork. We open this chapter by learning how ICU Medical Incorporated effectively utilizes teams in its organization, setting the stage by providing excellent examples of many of the core principles covered in this chapter. When you complete your reading of Chapter 9, you should be able to describe the 5 stages of Tuckman's theory of group development, contrast the roles and norms, and specify 4 reasons norms are reinforced in organizations, and explain how a work group becomes a team. Further, you should be able to list 4 things a manager can do to build trust, describe self-managed teams, and describe groupthink and its symptoms. We begin with the notion of a group. A group is defined as 2 or more freely interacting people with shared norms and goals and a common identity. Many organizations today have structures that emphasize groups and teamwork. Groups can be categorized as either formal or informal. A formal group is one that has been formed by the organization, such as a standing committee. An informal one is formed by friends, such as a social club. Formal groups are created by organizations to fulfill various organizational functions, including the accomplishment of complex, interdependent tasks that an individual cannot achieve by herself. Formal groups generate new or creative ideas, coordinate interdepartmental efforts, and provide problem-solving mechanisms for complex problems. Formal groups also help organizations implement complex decisions and to socialize and train new members to the organization. Formal groups are made up of individual members, each of whom provides something of value to the group and also receives benefits. Formal groups can satisfy the individual's need for affiliation. It can also develop, enhance, and confirm the individual's self-esteem and sense of identity. Formal groups give individuals an opportunity to test their perceptions of social reality and reduce feelings of insecurity. We now turn to Tuckman's theory of how groups develop. Tuckman theorized a 5-stage theory of group development. Group stages are characterized by different events and developmental issues. Stage 1 is called forming. Here, group members tend to be uncertain about their roles, may have some anxiety about membership, and trust is virtually non-existent. Storming, which is the 2nd stage, is a time of testing. Individuals try to determine how they fit into the structure of the group, who has the power, and what their relative roles might be. The 3rd stage of the process is called norming. At this stage, individuals in the group may question authority and power. These issues are usually resolved through group discussion. Through this process, the group becomes more cohesive. A we feeling emerges that binds group members together. The performing stage of group development comes forth. Here the group's activity is focused on solving problems and is very task-oriented. The climate is often characterized by open communication among group members, a high degree of cooperation, and a strong desire to help each other succeed. The final stage of the process is called adjourning. This stage represents the point at which the group has achieved the objective for which it was formed. Within each group, individual members assume roles that are designed to help the group achieve its goal. A role is defined as a set of expected behaviors for a given position. There are 2 primary types of roles: task roles and maintenance roles. Task roles keep the group on track and on task. Maintenance roles are focused on building relationships among members of the group and are focused on keeping the group together. There are a variety of task roles that individuals assume in a group, including the initiator, who suggests new goals or ideas, the information seeker, who clarifies key issues, the elaborator, who promotes greater understanding of the issues, the coordinator, who summarizes the ideas and suggestions of the group, the orienter, who keeps the group on task, the evaluator, who tests the group's accomplishments, and the recorder, who documents the group's discussions. Maintenance roles include that of the encourager, who provides feedback and promotes group solidarity, the harmonizer, who mediates conflict, sometimes through humor, the gatekeeper, who tries to involve all group members in the discussions, and the follower, who serves as a passive audience. In addition to the roles that group members play, there are also norms that help the group move towards its goals. Norms are shared attitudes, opinions, feelings, or actions that guide social behavior. When an individual does not share group norms, ostracism may occur. When this happens, the individual in question is rejected by other group members. Just as groups develop, norms also develop among group members. The norm development process is driven by the following factors: explicit statements by supervisors or co-workers, critical events that may occur during the group development process, primacy, where early events have more impact than later events, and behaviors that individuals bring with them from past situations. To achieve group solidarity, norms must be reinforced by group members. This enforcement can be visible or tacit. Enforcing norms can help the group, or even the organization, survive. Norms can clarify or simplify expectations. They can help individuals avoid embarrassment. And most importantly, norms help clarify the group's central values or identity. Up to this point, our discussion has been focused on groups and group behavior. We now turn our attention to a specialized and highly organized group of individuals called a team. Formally defined, a team is a small group with complementary skills who hold themselves mutually accountable for common purpose, goals, and direction. In the language of Tuckman's five-stage group development process, a team is a task group that has matured into the performing stage of development, stage 4. A group becomes a team when several conditions or situations emerge. For example, a group becomes a team when leadership becomes a shared activity, not the domain of a specific individual. Accountability for performance shifts from strictly individual to shared responsibility as individuals and team members. And the group develops its own purpose or mission. A group is considered a team if problem-solving activities become a way of life, not a part-time activity. Finally, a group emerges as a team when the effectiveness of the group is measured by the group's collective achievements and not those of individual members. Managers today realize that groups and teams can provide a higher level of performance, quality, and value than individual employees working alone. Therefore, many organizations have turned their attention to developing groups of employees into teams. These organizations use team building, which is defined as experiential learning aimed at better internal functioning of groups. One of the most difficult and daunting problems that managers and individuals face in organizations, particularly when they work in groups or teams, is developing trust. Trust is formally defined as the reciprocal faith in others' intentions and behavior. For teams to perform at their best, trust must be developed among group members. To build trust, several things must develop, including open communication, mutual support of one another, respect for each other and differing points of view, fairness and equity, predictability or reliability, and a perception competence in members' abilities. When all 6 of these are present, there is a high level of trust among group members and a very high probability that the group will function as a high-performing team. Research has shown that there are 3 dimensions of trust: overall trust, which is the expectation that individuals will play fair, tell the truth, and demonstrate empathy; emotional trust, which involves having faith that someone will not misrepresent your views or betray you; and reliableness, which is the belief that promises made by others will be kept, and that individuals will honor the commitments they make. We continue our discussion of teams with a special case relevant to organizations with few levels of management. In such organizations, decision-making and control can be delegated to groups of individuals closest to the production process or delivery of service. These special teams are called self-directed work teams, often referred to as SDWTs. Formally defined, self-managed teams are groups of employees granted administrative oversight for their work. Within self-managed teams, members use various influence techniques to persuade or influence the group's decision-making, such as relating, scouting, persuading, and empowering. Although self-managed teams are popular in the press, the question arises as to whether or not they are effective. Research has shown that self-managed teams have had a positive effect on productivity and have improved the attitudes of employees relating to self-management. However, there seems to be no significant effect on general attitudes at work, nor do self-managed teams decrease absenteeism or turnover. Teams can also be cross-functional. Cross-functionalism is formally defined as a team made up of technical specialists from different areas of the organization. Organizations are structured along different dimensions. Some organizations have a functional structure, whereas others may have a structure based on geography or division. Some organizations have come to realize that they can perform at a higher level of efficiency and effectiveness by eliminating functional barriers in the organization. That is, eliminating the perspective that something is not my job. To overcome this, organizations have introduced cross-functional teams whose members come from different functional areas within the organization, such as accounting, research and development, manufacturing, engineering, and so on. The last specialized type of team we will discuss is the virtual team. Technological improvements have changed the way many organizations do business, particularly in our global economy. Companies that have different divisions in various countries or do business globally are challenged by distance and geography. One innovation designed to help achieve the productivity enhancements associated with teams and companies who have employees distributed globally is the use of virtual teams. A virtual team allows group members in different locations to conduct business through the use of information technology. Research in the area of virtual teams has found that the group development process that we discussed earlier in the chapter is also followed by virtual groups. However, for virtual teams to be successful, meaningful face-to-face contact must be made during the early phases of group development. An important limitation of virtual groups or teams is that the use of information technology such as internet chat rooms create more work yet yield poorer decisions than face-to-face meetings. Thus, it appears that virtual teams are less efficient and effective compared to their face-to-face counterparts. Now that we understand the nature of groups and teams, let's turn to a discussion of some of the problems that may negatively affect their performance. Janice coined the term groupthink, which occurs when a team is so cohesive that it is unable or unwilling to realistically view alternatives. The Space Shuttle Columbia disaster has often been used as an example of the catastrophic consequences that can occur when a team suffers from groupthink. There are several symptoms of groupthink, including a feeling of invulnerability, a feeling of inherent morality, an illusion of unanimity when the reality is otherwise, self-censorship, and peer pressure. Being alert to these symptoms can enhance the group members' ability to manage and minimize these threats. Social loafing is defined as a decrease in individual effort as group size increases. This is dysfunctional for a group. Group members may engage in social loafing for various reasons. Among them, the loss of personal accountability, decreased motivation because of greater sharing of rewards among more team members, and a loss of coordination as more people perform the task seem to be the major factors. This concludes the lecture on Chapter 9. Apply the concepts that you've learned in the end of chapter materials, such as the ethical dilemma, let's have our business meetings at a strip club, and take a practice quiz on the Online Learning Center. www.mhhe.com/KINICKIOB4E